Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
We begin tonight in Chemung County, where authorities say thieves continue targeting valuable car parts. Big Fox's Matt Kleindienst tells us what they're after and what the sheriff says you can do about it.
Good evening, Ann. Across the U.S., catalytic converters are being targeted in cars by thieves, a trend that has only gone up since the start of the pandemic. Catalytic converters have become the hot commodity for thieves across the U.S. According to the National Insurance Crime Bureau, catalytic converter thefts have shot up over 300% since the start of the pandemic. The thefts have even affected local car dealerships in the southern tier.
I know that every law enforcement agency has had to deal with this. Generally, it seems that it's the car lots, the car dealerships that are being targeted more so than just private vehicles.
Chemung County Sheriff Bill Schramm says catalytic converters are popular because of the metals contained inside. He says that thieves can rake in a lot of money based on those metals alone.
People who are essentially stealing these catalytic converters are in turn trading them into a junkyard who can get anywhere from $600 to $700 per catalytic converter.
Schramm says residents could protect themselves by parking their cars in their garage if they're able to. Those who can't should keep their sidewalks and driveways well lit and possibly install security systems. He says it's important to keep an eye out on any suspicious activity.
You see somebody spooking around your neighbor's house, making sure you're calling police and saying, hey, something's not right, and having somebody come over and check it out.
Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC in Corning.
Rescue crews were called out to a house fire along Morton Road in Van Netten Tuesday evening. According to photos from witnesses, the fire engulfed the front of the house. First responders confirmed that the resident of the house was not home at the time of the fire, and there were no injuries. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. Glassfest is returning to Corning and is set to be fully in person for the first time in 3 years. The 4-day event is expected to draw thousands of people to the Gaffer District and feature a wide variety of outdoor activities. This year's festival will feature the Rock in the Park Outdoor Concert Series and observance of the 1972 Hurricane Agnes flood. Glassfest is set to kick off on May 26th. Frustration for the White House and Democrats after a vote to advance more coronavirus funding is blocked in the Senate. Republicans are asking for a chance to vote on amendments, primarily a chance to get Democrats on the record over Title 42, a public health order blocking people seeking asylum at the southern border over COVID-19 fears. The Biden administration recently announced they will do away with it next month. Madeline Rivera has a closer look from Washington.
The motion is not agreed to.
In a major setback for COVID relief, the Senate voted 52 to 47 Tuesday against a procedural step that would have advanced a $10 billion bipartisan bill for treatments, vaccines, and testing.
This is a potentially devastating vote for every single American who is worried about the possibility of a new variant rearing its nasty head within a few months.
The sticking point? Immigration. GOP senators are holding back their votes unless Democrats agree to votes on an amendment on Title 42, a public health order that allowed the federal government to quickly turn away migrants at the border during the pandemic. The Biden administration is ending Title 42 next month.
I think there'll have to be an amendment on Title 42 in order to move the bill.
Republicans find it hypocritical that the administration wants to keep other COVID measures, but not something related to the border.
But then they're telling us there's no reason to worry about COVID among those coming here illegally who have a much lower rate of immunization than do we. You can't have it both ways.
But a growing number of Democrats also oppose the administration's decision to lift Title 42. In a new letter to Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, Senator John Tester says ending the measure would only add strain to an already broken immigration system. The White House says while it's disappointed in the Senate vote, calling it a step backward in the country's response to the virus, it will continue to work with the House and the Senate to move the COVID bill forward. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
Governor Kathy Hochul received her second COVID-19 booster shot. It comes just days after New York State released new guidelines on who is eligible for a fourth dose. According to state health officials, New Yorkers ages 50 and older who got their first booster 4 months ago are now eligible for a second booster dose. Also eligible are people 18 and older who received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as both their primary dose and initial booster dose, as well as anyone who is moderately to severely immunocompromised. Ukrainian officials leveling new allegations at Russia today as the West prepares more sanctions. Alex Hogan has the latest from Lviv, Ukraine.
It's day 42 of the Russian invasion, and Ukraine's president is working to put more international pressure on his Russian counterpart. Volodymyr Zelensky accusing Moscow of using hunger as a weapon of war by deliberately targeting food supplies and blocking humanitarian aid. In the east, the Red Cross still has not been able to get into the hard-hit city of Mariupol, where the fighting rages on.
One of the main reasons we cannot bring humanitarian aid to Mariupol is that Russia is afraid the world will see what's going on there.
Russia is denying the allegations, pointing to its withdrawal from Kyiv as evidence that it's taking the peace talks seriously. That withdrawal is nearing completion, with forces sent north to Belarus, then east back into Russia, where they will eventually be expected to rejoin the fight. Meanwhile, Ukrainian officials are ramping up their investigation of alleged war crimes in the Kyiv suburbs.
Right now, we are looking for victims, identifying them, interviewing people, and documenting the facts further.
The White House also coordinating with the EU and G7 countries on a new round of sanctions targeting the Russian economy, including a ban on all new investments in Russia and sanctions on government officials and their family members.
These measures will degrade key instruments of Russian state power and pose acute and immediate economic harm on Russia.
And today, Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Brussels meeting with allies about ramping up arms shipments to Ukraine. In Lviv, Ukraine, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
Dramatic video captures the wrath of Russia's war on Ukraine in the battle for Kyiv. Ukraine's military shared a video revealing massive destruction in the villages of the Brovary region. That's a suburb of Kyiv. The footage released Wednesday showed destroyed buildings, homes, and schools. Streets were littered with rubble, and a charred school bus and car can be seen among the devastation. The attack comes as the Ukrainian military attempts to retake territory north of the country's capital, including the Brovary region. Todd Nelson is in next with our complete forecast. Plus, Jamie Holmes will join us with more news. Stay with us.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
And thanks again for checking in as we take a look at your local forecast and our radar and satellite imagery from earlier today, showing generally a cloudy day across the region. Everything moving in from the south and west, and some showers showing up there earlier as well. So those showers now moving into the region will continue as we head through the overnight hours. Maybe even a clap of thunder, but temperatures will be mild. In fact, as we head into the early morning hours of Thursday, we'll be into the mid and upper 40s with that southeasterly wind starting to build. So starting off the day on Thursday to the mid 40s, nearly 15 degrees above the average of 30. 6:39 is your sunrise. Sunset is 7:39 with temperatures topping out pretty close to where we should be. So again, showers, maybe a clap of thunder tonight. Heading into your Thursday will be soggy. Make sure you grab the umbrella. Stuff that in your car if you're going to be out and about. You will need that. Some locally heavy rains and breezy winds will continue through the day Thursday. Saturday, we're still going to be dealing with some showers, but I think the showers starting to fade, or at least start to fade Saturday night. A little bit drier weather late Sunday and Monday as our temperatures warm up here quite dramatically. All right, so there's your general thunderstorm threat for the evening hours tonight, and Elmira Corning sitting just on the northern flank of that. So again, most of our thunder threat would be south and also off to the east on Thursday. Not expecting any severe weather either. So there's your shower potential tonight. Again, maybe a clap of thunder. Some of the rains through the morning could be a little bit on the steadier side, and plan a little extra time as you get to and from your destination in the morning. And then heading into our Friday, we start to see things again wind down a little bit, not quite as steady, but still some showery weather is possible through Friday and Saturday. So this will take us out through 7 p.m. Friday now, and with the rain and maybe a few claps of thunder, we could be looking at some 3/4 inch to near 1 inch rainfall amounts. Will be a soggy night tonight, as I mentioned, starting off the day into the mid-40s with rain. Again, there will be puddles scattered about as well. Temperatures starting off into the mid and upper 40s region-wide, and looking at those winds out of the southeast, a little bit on the breezier side through the first half of the day, tapering just slightly as we get closer to the dinner hour. On and off showers, definitely more unsettled. Again, through the first half of the day, showers will continue to linger through the afternoon with readings kind of hovering right around that 50-degree mark. We may be able to top out into the lower 50s. Winds again lighter later in the day. And daytime highs, again, anywhere from, say, the upper 40s near Mansfield to the lower 50s from Binghamton to Wayland, Bath, Corning, and Elmira. And here's the extended outlook. Friday, we're at 57. Saturday, 51. I think their showers end Saturday night. Sunday will be a drier day, but definitely much warmer as we head into next week.
A nurse from Philadelphia may stand out when she runs in the Boston Marathon later this month. Dawn Timothy caught up with the nurse ahead of her big run.
When I'm in full training, I run anywhere from like 100 to 120 miles a week.
Running and working as a nurse for Penn Medicine are Sam Recker's two biggest passions in life. This 30-year-old is combining her love of both by competing in the Boston Marathon to raise money and support the mental health of nurses, especially during COVID.
I knew getting into this profession, it's a physically and emotionally demanding job. I think we've been tested more than ever the last 2 years specifically, so that's kind of where the idea was born.
The idea being to run the 26.2-mile race in her scrubs.
It's a little different, a little more material, that's for sure. So I have gone for a couple runs in scrubs just to kind of get a feel for it.
A massive outbreak of bird flu is devastating poultry farmers across more than a dozen states. This is tens of millions of birds are being put to death to help prevent the spread of the virus. Marianne Rafferty has the latest.
The H5N1 bird flu is surging, with health officials calling it the worst outbreak since 2015. The Department of Agriculture now reporting cases in poultry and wild birds in at least 24 states, resulting in the death of more than 22 million birds, as farmers kill those infected birds and any bird potentially exposed to a sick animal. H5N1 poses relatively low risk for people, but is highly contagious for chickens, turkeys, and several species of wild birds. So far, most of the fowl killed have been egg-laying chickens, causing the average price of eggs to jump by 52% since February, just ahead of the Easter holiday.
We're just pushing it down our throats.
Farmers in the Midwest are getting hit especially hard. The Broughton family lives near an egg farm in Palmyra, Wisconsin that's killed roughly 3 million chickens. They're worried because the land across from their home will now be used as a mass grave for the carcasses.
You can't tell me it's not going to get at my water.
And in Iowa, the nation's top egg producer, more than 5 million hens and close to 100,000 turkeys have also been slain. Meanwhile, Chicago's Lincoln Park Zoo is taking measures to prevent its birds from contracting the virus.
We are along one of the flyways, the migratory flyways, and some of our birds are exposed to wild birds, so we brought them all inside. So that includes our waterfowl, our Chilean flamingos, African penguins.
The USDA has been exploring vaccines for birds to avoid another deadly outbreak in the future.
The number of teenage girls heading to the emergency room with eating disorders more than doubled during the pandemic. A recent report from the CDC found girls between 12 to 17 went to the ER with food-related issues during the pandemic at twice the rate than before the pandemic began. Medical experts say the mental health crisis that has affected the entire population is partly to blame. Parents may want to watch for sudden changes in behavior. That includes excessive exercise or children frequently checking their weight. Doctors say if you sense something is wrong, call a medical professional for help. Another tech firm is suspending business in Russia. Airfares are soaring to new heights, and Twitter says it's working on an edit button. CJ Papa has these stories and more in today's Business Briefs.
Intel is the latest company to suspend business operations in Russia after its invasion of Ukraine. The chip maker says it has implemented business measures to minimize disruptions to its global operations. Last month, Intel suspended shipments to customers in Russia and Belarus. Have you looked at airfare prices lately? Well, get ready for a shock. Online booking platform Hopper estimates the average price of ticket prices will jump more than 10% this month thanks to soaring jet fuel prices. That is driving up the cost of a domestic flight by just over $100 since the beginning of the year. Average ticket prices have already skyrocketed more than 40% since January. The report says costs could hit their peak sometime in May. Well, interns are still flocking to Goldman Sachs despite reports of brutal work conditions that include 100-hour work weeks. The Wall Street firm received a record 236,000 applications for its summer analyst program, but they only have about 3,500 slots. Interns will be required to show up to the office 5 days a week, like the rest of the staff, a requirement that has prompted some of Goldman's junior bankers to threaten to quit. And Twitter says it's been working on a feature since last year to allow users to edit their tweets long before Tesla CEO Elon Musk purchased a stake in the company and promoted the feature. It will kick off in coming months. Twitter's head of consumer products says users have been requesting the button for years.
Companies are flocking to the Sun Belt because of the business and tax-friendly environment. Grady Trimble is at a factory outside Phoenix, Arizona, with more.
The Phoenix area where we are has certainly benefited from the fact that the Sun Belt has become the new hotspot for business growth. We're at a company called Footprint. They make these biodegradable containers for food, and we've got to wear hair nets, beard nets, because we're in a food-grade facility watching the manufacturing process unfold. Jeff Bassett is with Footprint, so you could have started this company anywhere. It's relatively young, and you chose Phoenix, Arizona. Why'd you do that?
Well, so Arizona as a whole has really great educational institutions and an amazing workforce here, all the way from PhDs and material scientists down to factory. And so for us, developing solutions that eliminate single-use plastics, we needed that large, diverse workforce. So here in our facility, we brought on board about 350 new positions, and it really just helped having that workforce available.
And the Greater Phoenix Economic Council helped bring in these companies through tax incentives in conjunction with the government. We spoke to the folks there who say the population is growing by about 90,000 people every year.
This remote working phenomenon's enabled employees or engineering teams to relocate to Arizona, take advantage of lifestyle and affordability. And we're going to see more of this kind of phenomenon going forward, where employees are choosing where to live and these companies are going to acquiesce to the needs of employees.
And if you look at the companies that are moving here, it's across a wide array of industries, from technology to manufacturing. The semiconductor industry is huge here in Arizona and continues to grow. All around driving the Phoenix area, you will see construction just about everywhere on the roads and new houses, because so many people are flocking not only to Arizona, but the rest of the Sun Belt as well, as businesses continue to grow.
Career website LinkedIn says Amazon tops its list of the 50 best workplaces to grow your career. LinkedIn says the businesses on its list are offering stability, attracting workers, and retaining them. It cites Amazon raising pay and also paying 100% of college tuition for frontline employees, covering high school diploma programs, GEDs, and English proficiency certifications for employees. Amazon is followed by Google's parent company, Alphabet, then Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, and Walmart. We want to leave you with a smile. Cracker Jack is celebrating women in sports, now selling its Cracker Jill special edition bags. The company announced the debut of its newest 5 items on Tuesday, saying they wanted to celebrate women breaking barriers in sports and girls to feel represented. The bags will be available at baseball stadiums across the country, and you can get one by making a $5 donation to the Women's Sports Foundation, which pushes for equality in sports. Cracker Jack said it would give $200,000 to that organization. Thanks so much for joining us.